Hey guys, it's Bao with Johnny Tech Review, and I hope you guys are having a good week so far. So it's been a while since I did a review on any kind of computer device. So today I have a little review of this little box here. I've been using this box for about 2 months now on and off, and it's an interesting little box. What this is basically an Intel computer stick, but instead of being in a computer stick, it's in this big unit. It's pretty heavy, about 1.5 pounds. It has heatsink passive. So this is from a company called ASUS, and this model here is called the Byte Plus. So this run an Intel Cherry Trail processor, and this one is an X5 Z8300. This is clocked at 1.4 GHz, and there's a quad-core processor in here. It's not hyper-threading, so basically all you get is 4 core. It came with 4 gigs of RAM. It runs Windows 10 Home, and also you have about 32 gigs of storage. So up front of the unit, you have just one button here for the power. You have basically nothing on the side except this little micro SD card. This can be expanded up to 128 gigabytes if I remember correctly. So in the back here, you have all the different ports. You have basically a headphone jack out, a Kingston lock port, 2 USB 3.0, a VGA output, a USB 2.0, Ethernet port. This is a gigabit internet, and then here you have a HDMI output port and then the power port. So basically for me, I'm using this with the old monitor over here. I have a 22-inch Hewlett Packard monitor, and I'm using the HDMI out, and it works pretty well. The resolution that was supported maximum for my monitor was 1650 by 1080, and I think that's what this thing output, and which looked pretty nice. So of course you also have this antenna here. You support 5 GHz Wi-Fi. Other than that, the unit is pretty simple, weight about 1.5 pounds again, and it's a pretty nice hefty unit. When you turn it on, it after a while it does get warm, so it's warm to the touch. It's not really hot, but it is warm to the touch. So the idea behind this box, of course, is designed to use for basically day-to-day operation, kind of like, you know, web surfing, shopping, you know, doing all these small things. It runs Windows Metro app, you know, Windows 10 apps from the App Store pretty well. I also tried to play some video games on it, but it doesn't run that well. So booting the device up take about 30 seconds from desktop onto Windows, logging in when you can start using Windows. And other than that, you have again 32 gig of storage, but because of Windows, you only really have about 13 gig of free space. Out of that 13 gig, I installed Steam, and then I boot Rocket League just to give you an idea, you know, to see if it actually run it. And that take about 6.5 gigs of free space. So really, you only have about 6 gig of free space left. That's not a lot of space at all. Of course, you can expand using the micro SD card here to give you a little more storage, but of course, you're not going to get the speed out of this guy. So speaking of speed, I just go ahead and just kind of run a benchmark just to give me an idea how fast this guy is. And on the single core of Geekbench, it got about 930, and on the multi-core it was 2364. So, you know, it's not really that fast. It's kind of like, you know, mobile phone, kind of a weak mobile processor territory. So yeah, for you know, everyday operation of, you know, using email, surfing on the net is fine. I installed Chrome in it. It runs pretty well, no issues at all. It does spike out at 100% from time to time when I have a lot of tab open. So that just to give you an idea. Back to playing game, I tried to play Rocket League, and yes, of course I tried to install it. It run kind of laggy. I downgrade basically all the resolution down, and I downgrade the graphic down, and yeah, it run, but it, you know, it's really pixelated and it's not really that smooth. So really, it's not really designed to run any 3D game, I can say. The best you can do is probably run, you know, play some arcade game, and of course you have the option to stream a Steam game over the Wi-Fi with my PC behind there. I can test it, and I can play Steam game on here, and that's not an issue. So you can do that if you want to use this as a multimedia box, or, you know, a Steam Link kind of box, and yeah, this works fine. At the time of review, I believe this was around $180, so it's kind of expensive. But if you look at this as a computer that you can use to plug a monitor in, maybe, you know, your mom, your grandma, whoever, your friends who doesn't really care about for a lot of processing and just want to use this as a device just to surf the net, these kind of things, check email, then this is going to work pretty well for you, no problem. Of course, you also have those USB port in the back. You can expand to have more storage space. There are also a memory stick, and of course here you have the micro SD slot. On the Wi-Fi, the 5 GHz Wi-Fi was pretty fast. I test this using speed test, so normally at my house I get about 230 megabit per second over the LAN connection. On my Wi-Fi, my phone usually about 100 megabit with 5 GHz, and on here I'm getting about 85-90 megabits. Pretty solid, so it's pretty fast. So that's not going to be an issue or the bottleneck if you want to use this as kind of device like that. I have used for about 2 months, but I get kind of lazy and not really using it that much until I set it up in the living room and I start using that. And the router was a bit farther away, and I didn't have any issues with connection drop. I think it was a pretty solid. The antenna is not removable, just like this. You can just turn it down, you don't need it in the way, and of course you have the Ethernet port if you want to use that. Other than that, ASUS also sent me this remote control here. This remote control is a USB remote control. You can just plug in a USB stick. This works for Android, Windows. I plug into here and it works pretty well. On this side here, you can see you have a little keyboard, and this keyboard here has a query key that you can use. It takes 2 AAA battery, and on this side here you have kind of like an L mouse. You can use these buttons here. You can kind of see right now. and use that as an L mouse, so you can move it around and it works pretty well. I like the window key to automatically launch, and yeah, that's basically it. You can put this little box in standby mode with this guy, and there's also a mic built-in, which I found no use for, but yeah, that's an option right here. If you're using Kodi or one other streaming device, maybe an Android box, this remote works pretty well also for that, which I like a lot. Battery life seems to last pretty long, and when you slow down with here, the you know, the range was pretty good, over 20 feet with no issue, so I'm really happy with that. It's a combo, it works pretty well. It's a home theater PC, so you can use this as a Plex box, you know, stream media to it, and it works fine. One thing I do want to point out, when I'm using this in Chrome and I'm trying to use 4K YouTube, it does not stream that very well. It's kind of a bit laggy. 1080p works fine, but streaming in Chrome and 4K did not work well. I was able to play, you know, 1080p video off this thing, and it's pretty smooth. Again, supposedly it's able to handle 4K decoding, but it's not doing a really good job of that, so that's one thing to keep in mind. Finally, at the back here, you can see you have two little kind of mounting plate. You can use it to mount you know, to the monitor or some of the back of your monitor, something like that. I don't have anything to mount it with, but it didn't come with any screw though, so you have to kind of figure that out. Other than that, guys, this is pretty much a quick experience of me using this ASUS BytePlus box. It's an interesting little proposition if you want to use this as your PC, as a, you know, a light internet surfing, web checking, maybe playing some light arcade game. This will work well even as a Steam box or streaming some device. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comment box below. I hope you find this video helpful. If you do, please give it a like and consider subscribing if you haven't do so to my channel. I will have more future content coming out soon. Stay tuned and have a good week. Thanks.